So I've titled tonight's show Pussy Mismanagement and why it's keeping a lot of us single. Now, I think at any point, a very large percentage of women, I'm not going to pretend to give the number, but a very large percentage of women, if you ask them if they were honest, they would be admit to mismanaging for their vagina. And what does mismanaging your vagina look like? We'll start with giving it to a man you know is no good. He's no good for you. He's potentially no good to you. And for some women, he's not even good to society. However, for whatever reason, that man, it makes your pussy quiver. And so a woman gives a man her vagina. Another way to mismanage your vagina is also the way that many of us have been witnessing, especially since social media has come out, and I will say the Kevin Samuels show and Kendra G show, with women coming online and being so bold to be proud of the fact that they have had different babies with different men, back to back to back. And then they turn around and say that the men that they have had these babies with are no good and they were not suitable to marry. However, they were suitable enough for them to have babies back to back to back. And I always find it interesting when the children are close in age. So I was watching a lady today, and it was a clip from Kendra G, and she had 4 kids, 18, 8, 7, and 5. Now, in my head, I was thinking the 8, 7, and 5-year-old belonged to one man, and the 18-year-old clearly belonged to another one. I was wrong. There are 4 different fathers. So you didn't even get a break for your vagina. You had an 8-year-old, you turned around, you got with another man, you got pregnant, you had a 7-year-old, you turned around before you could even probably finish breastfeeding that one, you were pregnant with the other one and had a 5-year-old. Like classic mismanagement of vagina. We as women determine the moral code in society. And so the issue I'm having with my fellow sisters are, we now are upset about a problem we helped to create. Listen, I know the other podcast ladies. I know a lot of them are pandering to you, and they're telling us that we're all beautiful and everyone deserves to be with someone. And there's someone for everyone. And there is someone who's going to love you at 5'7" and 220 pounds. And yes, you too can have that man that's in the gym 5-6 days a week getting his body together. You too, with your 5 baby daddies and 5 children, can get that good man. There is some podcaster somewhere, men and women, telling you that. Well, I'm going to tell you that that's bullshit. There is not someone for everyone. Many of us are going to die alone without being married. I might be one of these people who die alone. I pray to hell not. I pray to hell that it is actually my biggest fear. My biggest fear in life is dying alone. Other than dying, that's one of the biggest fears. The second biggest fear I have is that I would die alone. I'm probably very much competing for the same men that most of the women are competing for. So I also understand that by doing so, I put myself in a position that I may not get that man that I want. However, what I am smart enough to know is that there are things that I can do to make myself more valuable to that man so that he will choose me. And none of it has to do with my vagina. Vagina is advantageous when you are selling it because it is a product. Supply and demand. And vagina is always going to be in demand. It does not work the same way when you're trying to get into a relationship. Ask any woman who has multiple children by multiple men who did not marry her. Let me add that as a caveat. I don't know any little girl who dreamed that one day I will have 5 babies by 5 different men and none of them will marry me. That is the worst fairy tale in life. The reality is, a lot of women are living through a nightmare because they thought their vagina was going to net them a result that it's not going to get them. And they are not okay with being okay with the fact that the man I want doesn't want me. I'm just going to talk about me personally. If you know that you and I are dating the same man and how you're competing with me is with vagina, good luck. I'm going to beat you all the time without ever giving vagina, because I offer men tangible qualities that are very much outside of vagina. And you should too. You need to study the man that you want and figure out how do I show up in his life in a way that makes me desirable to him. I am the question queen. You tell me something, I'm going to ask a follow-up questions. I'm going to ask for more details. I'm going to try to learn more about it. Like, I'm going to do all of these things so that, because I want to be in the fabric of who you are, because I could potentially maybe be an asset in their life. I want to understand who they are, what they do, how they think. How can I show up in his life and be desirable? This is why, ladies, when you come on shows like Kendra G, and you, first of all, do not represent yourself well in the way that you dress, having bonnets on your head and orange color wigs and these claws on your hands with eyelashes that look like they're going to flap away, a man is already like, pause. Then you continue to speak and you are using profanity every 2 seconds. You cannot articulate yourself well. He's like, okay. Then as the show goes on, it is learned that you have multiple children by multiple men, and your response to that is, I was young, they were toxic, or you say things like one night stand baby, and they're not even in their lives. You say all of these things that actually eliminates you from the over 6 foot tall, dark man who makes $100,000 or more, okay, who lives in a nice house and is stable. He does not want you representing him, because what your life is an indicator is of bad choices. Your life is an indicator of bad choices. So I'm sorry to let you know, ladies, there isn't someone for everyone. It is very unlikely that when you have multiple children by multiple men, especially when these men are not even close to the quality of the man you now say that you're looking for, that you are not going to be chosen. And it does not matter how quickly or how much vagina you give him, he's still not going to choose you, because you do not represent well for him. I want us to stop lying to each other. I know I have mismanaged my vagina. I'm not going to sit around and say that I haven't. In my 20s, I did not use it well. I mean, I did use it well because I had a baby and I love her. She's a blessing to me. Shout out to my 22-year-old daughter and to her father. We love her. I'm so grateful for him, because without him, I would not have her. But I'm not going to sit around and say I've always made the greatest choices. But at some point, you get past your 20s, into your 30s, and damn well into your 40s. And if you're still making those choices, come on. I'm also going to say this to you, ladies. Men are not intimidated by us. Especially the archetype of the men that we're all going on these shows and saying that we want. These over 6 feet, accomplished, handsome, fit, educated, well-spoken, well-rounded Black men. They are not intimidated by us. They are not scared of us. And if they don't approach you, it's not because you're intimidating or scary. It's simply because they don't want you. I wanted that one to sink in.